not flex. If I point a finger, that's point of attack. Good point, who's next? Flag on the plate, now I'm causing them death. We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan, never live with regret. Yes, sir. Go to my neck. Go to my neck. Burgundy flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Be my guest. Look how we step. Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Right side, right side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Left side. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? Watch the middle. Commanders. Where's my soldiers? High off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feet the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Welcome, one and all across the nation and around the world. I welcome you all to episode 5 of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I am your host, Drew Willingham, and we've got some great things to talk about in today's episode covering Week 4 and a preview of Week 5. Without further ado, let's go ahead and take this into the 1st and 10 and cover last week's game.
They are the Washington Commanders. New name, new marks, new uniform.
Soldiers, are we ready for Operation Burgundy?
And here with the 1st and 10, when it comes to the 1st and 10 right here, the Eagles are at home against the Commanders as they beat them 34-31 in overtime. This is definitely a great game throughout. Definitely Sam Howell showed up. The rest of the team was clicking on all cylinders in certain aspects. And let's get into more of a review with that, into the Burgundy Flex review.
Yes, go to my neck. Burgundy flex. Who wants the smoke? We bringing it home. Be my guest.
And when it comes to the Burgundy Flex review, shout out to Darrell Owens right here for this clip, this little picture right here that we have that he took on behalf of Bowie TV over the weekend for this Week 4 game yesterday. And let's take a look at the game leaders that we have right here. We've got Sam Howell with 29 of 41, 290 yards and a touchdown. Brian Robinson Jr. with 14 carries, 45 yards and a touchdown. Terry McLaurin, 8 receptions, 86 yards, definitely contributed on the Washington side of the football. When you look at the Eagles, Jalen Hurts definitely came and balled out as well, 25 of 37, 319 yards and 2 touchdowns, along with DeAndre Swift with 14 carries, 56 yards and a touchdown as well. A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 175 yards with 2 touchdowns. And talk about Swift. Here's a picture right here from Darrell Owens of Bowie TV with DeAndre Swift carrying the football. You can definitely see he was juking in that move right there. Let's go to the actual stats of the game. And when it comes to all of this, hang on one second. Let me go ahead and click that. I had to, don't want to restart my computer during the middle of this show. I don't know why that popped up. Anyway, 365 total yards for the Washington Commanders versus the total yards of the Eagles, 415 yards. When it comes to the passing yards in comparison, Washington Commanders 258 total passing yards in comparison to the Eagles 311. So the stats are pretty close, but you can see how the Eagles just enough over the Commanders definitely tipped the scales here in this game. When it comes to rushing yards, though, the Commanders had their number with 107 to the Eagles 104. In rushing yards per play, however, the Eagles made the most of it as they were getting over 6 yards per carry, a little bit more than about 1.3 yards per carry less than what the Commanders did. It was a battle of first downs as well. You had the Commanders getting 26 first downs in comparison to the Eagles' 23. We're talking about the Commanders having 26 first downs. Look back at this, 26 first downs. Usually, when you win the battle of first downs, you usually win the game. We'll get back to that here in a little bit. But 26 first downs to the Eagles, 23. Third down efficiency, they were doing great as well. 8 of 17 in third down efficiency in comparison to the Eagles, 4 of 12. Third down efficiency, definitely doing very well. Total plays as well, dominant on that side as well. 74 total plays in comparison to the Eagles, 67 total plays. When you look at the sacks allowed, though, they're still giving up too many sacks. Sacked Sam Howell 5 times. When you look at the Eagles side, they only gave up 3 sacks. And they're punting the ball still a little bit too much. 5 punts in comparison to the Eagles' 3. It's a lot of punting throughout a game. Now, penalties. Penalties is somewhere where we have been definitely blanking a football, which a monkey blanking a football, which you remember from back in the day. I'm not going to say because we're on the air, but when it comes to penalties, you have 7 penalties of 41 yards in comparison to the Eagles' 11 of 81. When you think about the first downs in the penalties, whoever usually wins that battle, 9 times out of 10, seems like that team's going to win. So we'll circle back around to this in a little bit. But when you look at the penalties and the first downs, the Commanders definitely improved from the week prior. Fumbles, interceptions, none by either team. It was a great game on both sides of the ball. And another Bowie TV pick by Darrell Owens of the Eagles offense, standing here in a huddle-up formation, getting ready to go out with the next play. Let's look at the passing stats for both teams. Sam Howell, again, 29 of 41 for 290 passing yards with 1 passing touchdown as well. And we'll take a look at Sam Howell with the drop back right here as Sam Howell is dropping back. And look at like Sam Howell's poise right there. You got to look at his eyes right there. He came out here with a different boat of confidence in this past week. I was definitely excited to see how well he would play, and he definitely played really well. I have to give credit to Sam Howell on this particular week because he did a great job when it comes to that. When it comes to the Eagles, Jalen Hurts, 25 of 37 for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns. Looking at Jalen Hurts and what he did, you know, we've had some discussions about Jalen Hurts in the past, but he definitely is coming through and as that franchise quarterback for that team known as the Eagles. And they're definitely moving a lot further on with him than they would have if they would have stuck with Carson Wentz. Could you imagine if the Eagles would have continued on with Carson Wentz and we never got him over here in D.C., we would have definitely had a lot better tales of woes than what we had when we had the man known as Carson Wentz in there. And when you look at Jalen Hurts right here, Jalen Hurts definitely pumped up and ready to go in this pick. Definitely did a really good job of keeping that team together. 25 of 37, only 12 incompletions for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns. Let's move on to the Commanders rushing. When it comes to Brian Robinson Jr., the numbers were down a little bit this week. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. 14 carries of 45 yards, averaging 3.2 yards per carry. Now, he did have 1 rushing touchdown. That was great. Proud of you, Brian Robinson. You definitely have come back from quite a bit. But when you look at your actual stats right here, 14 of 45, I expect a little bit more out of you, and I believe a little bit more people out there do as well. You did great with the touchdown, but I'm hoping to see an increase in that next week. Now, I will give part of that to the fact that you're playing against a great Eagles defense. And for what the Commanders did in this game against the Eagles defense was definitely nothing to throw shade at. So I don't want to act like I'm throwing shade at him, but I just expect a little bit more because he's a dynamic player for this offense. I expect more than 45 yards on 14 carries out of Brian Robinson. Now, Sam Howell, 6 carries, 40 yards, averages 6.7 yards per carry. Here's a little slide right here as Sammy, thanks to Darrell Owens of Bowie TV, courtesy of that game yesterday. But 6 carries, 40 yards, 6.7. Sammy was trying to get this game for the Commanders. Now, looking at Antonio Gibson, 6 of 19, 3.2 yards. Both of the feature running backs are averaging 3.2 yards per carry. That is not good. That is not going to hold up if you're going to try to improve on this and get better. Now, you stuck in with the Eagles, who were the reigning NFC champions, right? This is a division game. Every single division game, the hype is up there, okay? So I can't get so excited about this game right here. When your quarterback, 6 carries, 40 yards, is outrunning your 2 running backs, that is a red flag right there, and they have got to fix that going forward this year if you're going to have any chance of improving. You started out 2-0. You're 0-2 now. I expected this loss this past week against the Eagles. I didn't want it, of course. But, of course, I expected you're going against the reigning NFC champions. But when your quarterback is 6 carries of 40 yards against your running backs, who's averaging 6.7 yards per carry, and your 2 feature running backs are averaging 3.2 yards per carry, that's a problem. That is a huge problem. It's just like talking about Baker Mayfield in the last week's game on Total Football Talk with Cole Johnson, but you'll have to wait till tomorrow at 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern for us to talk all football. This is all Commanders on this show. Back to the rushing. Again, Logan Thomas and Curtis Samuel at the bottom of the list when you have your quarterback who is not known for just a rushing quarterback. He is known to be mobile, but he's got a stellar arm. He's accurate. He's making NFL-type throws. And you've got your quarterback running 6 carries of 40 yards over top of your running backs. To me, that is a huge red flag in this game. Now, we do have to at least give Curtis Samuel the credit on that. He did have 1 carry for 1 yard, but he had this touchdown, courtesy of Darrell Owens for Bowie TV right here, as he gave us this picture to show you in this show. Now, to the Eagles' rushing attack, DeAndre Swift, 14 carries, 56 yards. With that 1 touchdown for 4 yards per carry, the Eagles definitely had to pick that up a little bit, but that just goes to show you how tough the Commanders' defense was in this Week 4 contest. The Commanders showed up on both sides of the ball, offense and defense, and played great throughout this game, and they made a statement going against this Eagles team this past week, making their feature back, DeAndre Swift, only get 14 carries, 56 yards. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, over the offseason, was definitely known to probably be their number 1 running back, but things have swifted, as I will say. They've swifted, shifted, whatever you want to call it, as DeAndre Swift is now the feature back for the Eagles, but 14 carries for 56 yards. It's definitely something to have a red flag there, too, if you are a fan of Philadelphia Eagles watching this show right now. But Jalen Hurts definitely off and running with this pick right here, courtesy of Bowie TV and Darrell Owens. As you look right here, 9 carries for 34 yards, averaging 3.8 yards per carry for Jalen Hurts. Now, let's move to the receiving action. And this time, we're going to move to the receiving action for the Commanders. Terry McLaurin at the top of that list, 8 receptions for 86 yards, 10.8 yards per reception. No touchdowns, unfortunately, because Scary Terry was getting it done by eating up those yards. Move on over to Curtis Samuel, had that 1-yard rushing touchdown, 7 receptions, 51 yards, averaging 7.3 yards per carry. Then you go on to De'Ami Brown, who lit it up for 2 receptions, 51 yards, averaging 25.5 yards per reception. Logan Thomas, number 82, is back in the action as he has 3 receptions for 41 yards, going for 13.7 yards per reception. Jahan Dotson comes in there for 4 receptions, 27 yards, averaging 6.8 yards per reception, and has that 1 receiving touchdown from Sam Howell to get this game going early on. Now, Byron Pringle and Antonio Gibson each had 1 reception. Pringle for 15 yards, Antonio Gibson for 7. Then you have Brian Robinson Jr. and John Bates getting in on the action. Robinson Jr. for 2 receptions for 6 yards, averaging 3 yards per reception. Then you have old John Bates with that 1 reception for 6 yards, neither of them getting in the end zone. The presence was from Jahan Dotson when it came to receptions. And look at Terry McLaurin right here, all excited with the ball in hand. That right there was one of his 8 receptions for 86 yards. As old Scary Terry smiling during that moment because the Commanders were looking like they were in really good shape at that point. Now, going to the Eagles in their receptions here. Let's shift gears for this one. When it comes to this one, A.J. Brown, 9 receptions, 175 yards. You heard that right. 9 receptions, 175 yards, averaging 19.4 yards per reception for 2 touchdowns. This dude lit it up in this game right here for 175 yards. Devontae Smith right behind him, 7 receptions for 78 yards. The two of them combined came up with 16 receptions on the receiving core. The rest of the receivers only combined for 9 more receptions. When you look at these two, they are definitely an awesome 1-2 punch receiving duo for the Eagles. Now, Dallas Goedert, 2 receptions, 25 yards, 12.5 per attempt. 4 receptions, 23 yards, and 5.8 yards per reception for DeAndre Swift. And the rest of them, when it comes to Zacchaeus for 1 of 11 and Kenneth Gainwell, 2 of 7, round out the receptions for the receiving core of the Eagles. And this is A.J. Brown right here in that game. This one I just think I got from Sports Illustrated. I can't remember, but we'll circle back, put that back in the comments of where I got that picture. But it looked too awesome to not put in here. This one of A.J. Brown and his receiving right there. Let's look at the Commanders' defense. Cameron Curl. Now, Cameron Curl has been stepping it up this year. Cameron Curl has absolutely been stepping it up when you look at this defensive statistics right here. He has 9 tackles, 3 assists, and 1 sack in this game. Cameron Curl was all over this place, all over this field in this game with the Eagles. Cody Barton, 8 tackles, 1 assist. Emmanuel Forbes Jr., 7 tackles, 2 assists. Jamin Davis, 5 tackles, 1 assist. Benjamin St. Justy, 5 tackles. Derek Forrest, 3 tackles, 4 assists. Kendall Fuller, 3 tackles. Jonathan Allen, 2 tackles and 2 assists. Chase Young, also with 2 tackles, an assist, and a sack. And I forgot Jonathan Allen to mention as well for a solo sack as well. Montez Sweat with two tackles as well. And Casey Toohill with 1 tackle. And rounding it out, Abdullah Anderson with 1 tackle as well. The Commanders defense was stepping it up in this game right here for the week 4 matchup with the Eagles. They definitely turned it up in that game. Now, with the Eagles, this is something that we definitely expected because the Eagles have definitely been playing great on both sides of the football. That's why they're undefeated. But Nicholas Morrow, 10 tackles for 1 assist and 3 sacks. Again, 3 sacks. It's hard enough to get 1 sack in the game. This man not only got 1, but 2, but 3 sacks in a game. He was definitely lighting it up for the Eagles defense. Darius Slay, 10 tackles, 1 assist. Zach Cunningham, 9 tackles, 4 assists. Reed Blankenship, 4 tackles, 4 assists. Josh Sweat, 3 tackles, 2 assists. James Bradbury, 3 tackles, 2 assists. That re-signing was definitely big for them. Fletcher Cox, my apologies. 2 tackles, 2 assists. Milton Williams, 2 tackles, 1 assist. Josh Joby, 2 tackles, 0 assists. Hassan Reddick, 1 tackle, 1 assist, and 1 sack. And that pretty much rounds it out as you had Terrell Edmonds, Jalen Carter, and Jordan Davis showing up with assists on the tackles as well. Eagles are definitely a team you cannot take lightly out here in these streets. When you look at the special teams right here, Antonio Gibson on the kick returns, 1 return for 29 yards, definitely was impactful right there for the special teams. Jamison Crowder is back when it comes to the Washington team, the Washington football team, the Washington team of football, the formerly known as the Redskins. Now the Commanders is back as he had 1 punt return for 14 yards. Welcome back, Jamison Crowder, coming back from the practice squad and being back on this team after being away for quite some time. Now, you look at Joey Sly, 1 field goal attempt, and he converted on that. It was only 27 yards, but it definitely helped out, and he had extra point kicks as well. This man was definitely doing his job out here in these streets. When it comes to Tress Way, though, 5 punts for 213 yards, 42.6 averaging per punt when it comes to old Tress Way. And here's the Commanders defense right here. And this I should have moved up a little bit further to have with the defensive part, but you can see right here the type of impact they were having on this game. This picture right here from Darrell Owens was just a display of what was going on throughout the entire game here for the Week 4 contest. Now, comes to the special teams for the Eagles. They had no kick returns because they were getting touchbacks primarily when it came to that. Britton Covey, 3 returns for 38 yards on the punt returns. Jake Elliott, which we'll get back to Jake Elliott here in a few. Jake Elliott, 4 for 4 on the field goals. 100%, 54 was his longest, converting for 14 points. And Braden Mann on the punting, 3 punts for 129 yards, averaging 43 yards per punt, and had 1 inside the 20. Now, Jake Elliott, you won the game for the Eagles. But I actually have a problem with this situation right here. I don't have a problem with how the game ended, where the Commanders scored and tied the game up and didn't go for 2. I have no issue with that. I respect Ron Rivera admitting the fact that they were gassed and he wanted to give them a chance to breathe, get into overtime, as he felt like they would get a shot to score to score in overtime, which they did. And they didn't. And they didn't score. But they had an opportunity. What my problem is you have Jake Elliott, who's taking the field goal at the end, right? Who has the game-winning field goal. He did a great job. The Eagles deserve to win, and they deserve to be 4-0. But you had one more thing you could have tried there, Riverboat Ron. You had 2 remaining timeouts in overtime, right? You had 2 remaining timeouts in overtime. So when Jake Elliott goes up there to kick that overtime field goal to win the game, you could have at least tried to ice the kicker there. You could have at least tried it. If you would have called the timeout, it might have worked. You might have looked foolish for trying it, and he kicks it anyway. But still, you never know if you don't try anyway. I feel like it should be more shade thrown at you for not taking the field goal, or not taking the timeout before the field goal attempt, rather than just we got this far, we might as well just see what happens at this point anyway. He's either going to miss it or he's going to make it. More than likely, he's going to make it because he's Jake mother-fathering Elliott, and he's been doing great out there as a field goal kicker ever since he came into the league. He's not the greatest of all time, but you can depend on Jake Elliott in moments like these over top of Joey Slide for the Commanders. So if people are going to try to ice your kicker, which will more than likely work when they do it, rather than the other side of the ball, you still have to try it, in my opinion. As a coach, this is something that goes against the shade, or goes with the shade that's thrown at Ron Rivera when you think about all the stuff he's done to cost some decent teams that he has coached an opportunity and making a run in the playoffs, or at least getting to the playoffs like we had with last year when he started Wentz over Heineke or Wentz over Howell. So that's just my take when it comes to the Burgundy Flex review. And we got some comments from the fans. Let's go ahead and acknowledge you guys here before we go to the next segment. Mickey Delaney is in the house saying, afternoon, Drew. Well, afternoon, my man. There, Mr. Mickey Delaney. Thank you all for tuning in so far. Keep the comments going. I will acknowledge you throughout the show. Looks like someone got a trim. Yes, someone trimmed it. Well, I trimmed it myself. But I'm preparing the face for No Shave November. You know, we're in October now. I'm going to spend October cleaning it up, moisturizing, using the oil, getting it ready to have a nice grow. Yes, that's what No Shave November will be. Bringing the beard back, but for a very short period of time, you guys will see me with the clean shave action right here on this show because I miss my beard. When it comes to, does the quarterback even trust his running back, wide receivers, or tight ends? Yes. When you see the action for what he displayed yesterday, he definitely trusts them. He trusts them a little bit more than, certain teams trust their other position skilled players. So I have to give it to Sam Howell. He showed up and shelled out yesterday. And definitely, they deserve to win the game, but the Eagles just deserve to win the game just a little bit more. And you can tell by how things definitely ended at the game. All right. Actually, let me get some water for this one real quick. Sick because I got to do this one right. I'm only going to do it once. So let me get some water real quick. All right. Drew Willingham is proudly sponsored by Slackjaw VPN, the VPN when you need to take it easy. Slackjaw VPN, where the slacking be smooth. And Peanut Butter and Jealous, brand new almond butter and jealous available with blackberry and raspberry. And we can't leave out the folks with the peanut allergy. Yes, okay, all right. I have to get a little bit more crafty with this. I haven't actually aired the peanut butter and jealous commercial in quite some time. It's been quite some time since I aired the peanut butter and jealous commercial, but the In or Out Sports Debate is back with the second episode since the return tomorrow night, episode 102. Because remember, we hit 100 episodes, took a break, came back last week with 101. Tomorrow night, episode 102 at 9:05 p.m. Eastern time with Kyle Nash and Joey Raymond tomorrow for episode 102 on Sartoba Media. Well, guys, that does it for the Burgundy Flex review. Let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we'll get into our Soldiers of the Week, our MVPs from the Week 4 game. See you on the other side of this commercial break.
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Yeah. But, hey, that was last year. And what did he was out.
Right. And now he's in.
But he's been out for an entire year. It's not, you can't think he's going to make the same impact that he did before he was suspended.
I'm telling you, he won't have to.
What?
See how
Is he going to keep his phone down and not make bets?
Come
on, man.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, look. Hey, stop playing games. Y'all already know. Go ahead and toss him some Willie Bucks. Ain't nobody playing around. Hey, $ DWillie87. Go ahead and hit him up on the Cash App and go ahead and give him some Willie Bucks. Look at Drew looking stoic, ladies and gentlemen. Stoic on that $10 bill. So go ahead, slide my man over some Willie Bucks, and we good. That's all I'm saying. We good. How some Willie Bucks?
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
Welcome back to a show where we have just as many commercials as a TNT broadcast, the Sports Sensates Unleashed.
I hate you, Drew.
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.
The following is a presentation of Sartoba Media and Comey Media Incorporated.
Commanders, where my soldiers, right side, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
Welcome back, everyone, to this edition of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I am Drew Willingham, and I just saw in that commercial break where I need to update a few things. So I just added that to my list for things I got to do this week to get ready for next week's episode here on the Commanders Gridiron Report. Gone through two great segments so far. Let's go ahead and take it to our Soldiers of the Week and see who the standouts were for Week 4.
Where my soldiers, right side. Commanders, where my soldiers, left side.
And here for the Soldiers of the Week, this is who I feel were the Soldiers of the Week for this past game. You have Jalen Hurts, 25 of 37 for 319 yards with 2 touchdowns, along with A.J. Brown for 9 receptions, 175 yards, and 2 touchdowns, which definitely helped them get that victory. But I have to give special attention here to Sam Howell, who showed up as well after that tumultuous game we had the week prior and losing that game. You know, you come in here 29 of 41, 290 passing yards with a touchdown. I have to give it to credit to Sam Howell on this one. That's why he is part of the Soldiers of the Week. But with the Eagles getting the win here, I'm not giving it all to them like I did last week when they played the Bills and got destroyed. And I gave all 3 Soldiers of the Week to the Bills. This week, it's a little different. I have to give Sam Howell his credit where it's due right here for the Soldiers of the Week. We got some comments here. Let's go ahead and see what you guys are talking about. Ike is back and says, sick! Followed by, when are the senseis coming back? That's a good question. It's a good question that I don't know if I can actually answer right now.
What?
I said I don't know if I can actually answer that question right now.
What?
You heard it right.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to find out about that, you need to hit up the snowman. If you want to ask him and see, I can't answer that one right now. Now, it looks like 6 says, hey, Ike, how have you been? You guys are going back and forth in those comments. Appreciate you guys being here, watching this show live, as we got some more things to cover. We've already gone through the first 3 segments. Let's go ahead and take this into the showstopper and see what I got in store for you on this one.
I off the way that this sound, they turn up as soon as they feed the ground. I am not playing around. I hit them, I bet that they feeling me now.
Here with the showstopper. When it comes to the adjustments the team should make to improve from week 4, you know, my biggest thing that I would have to say to improve on is when you get in a situation where you're at the end of the game and you're in overtime and you have 2 timeouts and the other team is trotting their kicker out there to try to get the game-winning field goal and you have timeouts. The biggest thing that I have to say right here is take the timeout. Ice the kicker, or at least try to. Again, Jake Elliott is a good kicker. He's probably better than good kicker. He's better than average, okay? He's not great GOAT status, but he's in between. He's in between really good and great, somewhere in there. A good echelon of that, in between, okay? But everybody has a bad day. Everybody can get thrown off of their game at some point in their lifetime. At some point, it happens, whether it's on the smallest of stages or on the biggest of stages, and you have to give it an opportunity to ice the kicker by at least taking the timeout. All you had to do was take your 2 hands, put them like this, shift them like this, and go like that. Call a timeout. That's all you had to do, but you didn't do it. To me, there's nothing really else I can really pinpoint throughout this game, because when we go back and look at the overall stats, and I'll pull those back up right here, you know, you did great on first downs. You did fantastic on third down efficiency and fourth down efficiency. You had more plays than the Eagles. You know, cleaning up the penalties a little bit better, because still 7 penalties is a lot for 41 yards, but it still isn't worse than your other team that you played that day did. But when I look at the amount of sacks you gave up, and if I take away the whole timeout call in overtime, when I look at the sacks allowed, you're still giving up way too many sacks in the game. 5 sacks given up, where your quarterback's taking that much of a beating. I believe it was 19 sacks that he had throughout the first 3 weeks. So now he's taken 24 sacks in 4 games. It's averaging 6 sacks per game. That is absolutely ridiculous. Your quarterback is going to get beat up by the end of this year if he's averaging 6 sacks per game. You do the math on how many sacks he's going to take by year end. He's going to take well over 100 sacks, close to 200, probably like 175 sacks in a season, which is going to be like close to David Carr stats. And speaking of that, This is the most amount of sacks that a quarterback has taken in a 3-week span, the first 3 weeks since 2005, when David Carr was taking the amount of sacks that he took in 2005 throughout the first 3 games, and he set the record at the end of that year for the amount of sacks taken by a quarterback. No wonder why, when he went to Carolina and was the backup, he was doing the hee Michael Jackson with the one glove on and the one glove off. I don't know what he was doing. He got sacked so many times that he had to revert to hee status when he went to the Carolina Panthers. And yes, I'm going to take that out as a clip later because it's probably an awesome clip I just did because I didn't even know I had the hee in me. So that's 3 hees, technically 4 now, and a show. There you go. Now, back to this. When it comes to the improvement that the Commanders need to make throughout this time between now and next week, 2 things. Well, you're probably not going to get into overtime or into regulation kick or for the other team to ice the kicker between now and next week. I doubt you will because you have 3 weeks to prepare. 3 days to prepare because you have the Bears on Thursday night. So you got a very short week. I don't think you're going to be going into regulation with a tie or into overtime with a tie with the Bears. Come on, they're 0-4. But I don't want to throw too much shade because it seems that there are times when the Commanders in their history throughout, whether one of the 3 team names they've had between the formerly known as the REDSKINS, the Washington Team of Football, #WTF, or now as the Washington Commanders, when the team plays another team that is not doing well that year, worse than them, in particular, where they have 0-2 wins at any point throughout the entirety of the year. It seems to be a close matchup. Commanders will not blow them out. It's going to be a close matchup on Thursday, but I don't want to give too much away for that until we get to the next segment. But the improvements for week 4, 1, call a timeout when necessary, and 2, stop giving up so many sacks. But we're going to have to address that during the offseason and bring in some more help on the offensive line because that's where it seems like it's stemming from. Sick Diggy throws in there. I honestly think the Commanders may not have a winning season this year. It's only the first season post Dan Sleazeball Snyder, S-N-Y-D-E-R, post Dan Sleazeball Snyder. They're going through a cleanse of his legacy. Okay, I'll comment on that in a second. What stopgap measurements can be taken in the meantime before that offensive line is firmly solidified? Well, again, they got to make some moves. That offensive line for what they have right here is not going to be the offensive line of the future. If you're going to build a team within the next 5 to 10 years around Sam Howell to potentially make a run and potentially go for a Super Bowl, not this year, next year, the year after that, not anytime soon, but I'm talking about the next 5 to 10 years, this offensive line will not be the same offensive line he has when they attempt to go for that run. So there's not so much you can do to stop these gap measurements when it comes to this offensive line because unless you take their experience and what their overall rating is and you do a 180 and they produce that type of production, you're not going to get much different out of it. Sam Howell is going to have to dance around that pocket. It's going to have to bounce outside of that pocket to complete some passes and extend the plays with his legs as well because of how this offensive line is playing here for Washington. Now, going back to this one, the Commanders may not have a winning season. I'm not going to give up on that yet because even years with Dan Snyder, barely over 500 or getting 1 win over 500, those are still winning seasons. If they can take this year and go 9-8, okay, that's a winning season. That's a positive build from last year, whether you make the playoffs or not at 9-8. I, particularly as a fan, will be happy with that. As a member of the media, I will have to say that, I don't expect them to make the playoffs. I'm not excited for them as a team to make the playoffs because when you have the Eagles and you have the Cowboys in the same division. Now, we've seen some dumpster Pelican-esque play from the Cowboys at certain points. However, they are definitely at the top of the division with the Eagles over top the Commanders right now. And putting all that in perspective, I just can't imagine the Commanders making the playoffs and going for a run on the media thought side of it, okay? Flipping back to the fan side, of course, yes, I would love to see that. But when I put my media hat on and I think about it, I don't see the Commanders making the playoffs this year. I think at best the fans and the team can be happy with the potential 9-8 record and take that as a positive and build on it. And Sam Howell keeps playing the way he is proving that he's an NFL quarterback. But this is the type of quarterback that we've needed since Kirk Cousins left, as far as a franchise-style quarterback that we can build on for years to come, that we don't have to worry about rolling out anytime soon. The Michael Jackson impressions by Drew Willingham is brought to you by Smooth Criminal Thirst Quencher. So smooth, it should be criminal. I love it. I love it. Great job with that there, Sick. We're going to go ahead and take this into the next segment. We've gone through the showstopper here. We're going to take this into the opponent of the week. Right? I alluded to this a little bit earlier, but we're going to actually discuss it now for the opponent of the week segment.
Look how we step, look how we step. Who we got next? Who we got next? Step on the right, step on the left. Who do we rep? Commanders.
And here for the opponent of the week this Thursday night, the Commanders are back home at FedEx Field as the Chicago Bears are in town, who are 0-4, 8-15 this Thursday night on Thursday Night Football right here. This is going to be an interesting contest, as I was alluding to earlier, and it's definitely something that I will pick up more on the final drive segment as I talk about this Week 5 matchup. But your 0-4 Chicago Bears of the NFC North come into town to FedEx Field to take now the 2-game losing streak skidding of the Washington Commanders here for Week 5. Short week for both teams. Both teams just played yesterday. Both teams have a 3 days off, 72 hours to prepare for this matchup on Thursday. It's going to be a tough one. It's something that I'm definitely looking forward to covering here in the final drive as we discuss what's going on here for Week 5 in the final drive.
We bet on ourselves, so what you expect? A die-hard fan never live with regret. Yes, sir.
And here for the final drive, my closing thoughts heading into Week 5 as I talk about that matchup that I just brought up between the Bears and the Commanders. You know, I expect the Commanders to win this game. I expect the Commanders to win this game, but it's not going to be an absolute dumpster fire of a game where they're blowing out the Bears. I don't see that happening. Justin Fields has had some pretty good moments, some decent moments of promise at certain points throughout the first 4 weeks. Not consistently, or they wouldn't be 0-4, okay? But he has played well enough to where they should have won that game yesterday. They should have won that game. I was expecting to see a 1-3 Bears team. But when the Bears went into that matchup against the lowly Denver Broncos yesterday, the Bears came through with that win there at the end, 31-28. And that's a team that we could face this Thursday night in FedEx Field. You know, they are 0-4. The Bears are 0-4, but they are not necessarily an 0-4 team. Their coaching, it's got some dumpster fire-esque coaching. And then you, of course, had the coordinator who's being under investigation by the FBI, who had to resign from the team. That, of course, throws a dark cloud on the team at some point, whether you want to continuously acknowledge it or not. And then you're coming to FedEx Field against a team that just went toe-to-toe with the Eagles. Okay, has gone toe-to-toe with in all 4 games. I will say 3 out of 4 games. Not the Buffalo Bills game, of course, in Week 3. But weeks 1, 2, and 4, you took off. You did your job in weeks 1, 2, and 4. You just didn't get the job fully done in Week 4 because of overtime, and you were gassed, this, that, and the third, or whatever your excuse is. But now in Week 5, short week, of course, playing the Bears. The Bears almost pulled it out yesterday against the Broncos, but the Broncos came back. I think the Broncos were down 21 points, came back from a 21-point deficit to score 24 points and win the game. So if the Bears play like they did yesterday against the Broncos, start the game out, and then just kind of give it up after having a 21-point lead towards the end of the game, then the Commanders would be okay. If the Bears show up like they did yesterday and have that 21-point lead and don't take their foot off the gas and play smart football the rest of the game to where they don't give up 24 consecutive points to lose the game to the Broncos, the dumpster Pelican-esque Broncos. You know, when you think about that, if you have the Bears that don't play like that to where they keep their foot on the gas and their throat on the necks, the Bears can win this game on Thursday night. But I think the Commanders will win this game. I don't think it's going to be a great – it's not going to be a great game at all. But I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring contest. I'm going to say that the Commanders win this game 17-12. Just got a feeling. I got a feeling they're going to win it 17-12. I'm probably going to be wrong about the score, but yeah, they score 2 touchdowns and a field goal. Bears only kick 4 field goals. That's the way I'm predicting the game. It's not going to be beautiful. It's not going to be completely ugly, but 17-12 is my final score for this game. Thursday night, 8:15 on Thursday Night Football. Sick Diggy has, and Sam Howell doesn't need to be sporting 2 chains for that matter. Okay. Will the Beards offensive line actually show up, or will they be posting like mannequins for Justin Fields' brand new men's clothing store? That's a good question. That really is a good question there, Sick Diggy. I am not too sure about that one when it comes to the Bears. Excuse the typing error. Hey, no big deal. Hey, I have typing errors at times. Sometimes I have speaking errors. I got to go back and cover it up as I've done it a couple times in this show. But hey, we're live. This isn't pre-recorded. This isn't pre-recorded. This isn't edited, okay? We are live, and this is how we rock and roll on the Commanders Gridiron Report. It could be a close game, smash mouth style. It absolutely could. That's why I'm saying 17-12 is my prediction for the final score this Thursday night, 8:15 against the Bears. That's how I feel. It could go either way. I could be wrong. I've been wrong before. You've been wrong. Everybody's been wrong at some point out here in these streets. But we get a chance of redemption at some point when you have the right backing behind you. And that's what we have to close out for the Commanders Gridiron Report. This episode right here, episode 5, has been the longest reigning episode of the first 5 episodes of the Commanders Gridiron Report. I have had one great and exciting show with you guys today. I'm looking forward to this Thursday night football contest. I'm looking forward to seeing what this Commanders team can do to continuously improve and to keep building as each and every week, except for the Bills game. Okay, I'm not going to be too much of a homer, but the Bills game, they played like dumpster Pelicans. And then you come back out this past week on the road against the Eagles, the reigning NFC champions, and you do a 180. You were not playing like dumpster Pelicans. You were playing like a team that could actually be taken seriously out here in these streets. And I'm proud, very proud to see what I saw in this past week 4 game. Now, will you do it on Thursday against the Bears? You should, because they're 0-4, and they are one of the dumpster Pelican teams of the National Football League. I have to give credit where it's due. And right here, when it comes to the Commanders, this overall team, they are clicking on so many great cylinders right now. But my big questions and my big red flag that still stands to this day is Riverboat Ron. Riverboat Ronald Eugene Rivera. You should have called a timeout in that overtime contest and tried to ice the kicker, but you didn't. And now look at you. You have 2 losses. That's how I feel when it comes to Riverboat Ron. And I'm glad that I could bring the comedy for you guys, as I tried to in certain parts. Comedy-esque inspiration by Sam Kinison. If you don't know who Sam Kinison is, Google him. That's my inspiration when it comes to all of this yelling, when it comes to my comedy stuff. So, thank you all for tuning in to episode 5 of the Commanders Gridiron Report on this October 2nd, 2023, the first October edition of this show, as we are now 5 episodes in on Sartoga Media, A7BN Sports. Got to give a shout out to you too. Thank you for having this on your Facebook page. Shout out to Team MBS Media, my team, my sports team over there, teammbsmedia.com, also on their YouTube channel. A shout out to Sartoga Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome. The face right there, where I had the short hair. I got some other hair back here, but you don't get to see it right now because I'm still in comedy mode. The Commanders Gridiron Report, every Monday, usually 3:05 p.m. Eastern time. Today had to start a little bit later because of technical difficulties, Comcast, and multiple other things that I have to say why we started a little bit late. But I'm happy to be here with you, streaming live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, something else that I'm probably forgetting right now, and all the other stuff that we take clips and shorts and sharing throughout the week. So if it wasn't for you, if it wasn't for the fans watching this show live right now, the 10 of you watching live right now, okay, and the hundreds and whatever that watch it afterwards, I wouldn't be doing this. I wouldn't be planning my week around it because I'm a busy guy who works 2 full-time careers and just busy because I'm old. I'm getting old, okay? But I do this for you, the viewer, because I love you and you love me, and that's what it's all about out here in these streets, showing the love, being here to watch each other grow out here. To my fellow podcasters out there who are watching this, take it easy. Keep doing the things that you're doing. Love seeing the things you guys are doing. Looking forward to doing some more collaborations in the future. Tomorrow, I have 2 shows. Tomorrow at 4:00 p.m. Eastern time, you can catch me and Cole Johnson on Total Football Talk on Sartoba Media as well as Comey Media Incorporated. And then later that night at 9:05 p.m. Eastern, you can find me, Kyle Nash, and Joey Raymond on another Trios edition of the In or Out Sports Debate episode 102. And this Thursday especially, 11:15 p.m. Eastern time, D. Willie in the Evening, episode 4, where it's all comedy shenanigans, no sports, just shenanigans. Get to know me a little bit more when it comes to D. Willie in the Evening. Guys, that is episode 5 of the Commanders Gridiron Report. We only have one more thing left to do, and that is...
Acknowledge me.
No, not acknowledge me, but hey, we had to go there for a second. We only have to look at one more transition, which is a great outro. Everyone, as always, please stay safe out here in these streets.
Who do we rep? Commanders, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, Commanders, where my soldiers, watch the middle, Commanders, where my soldiers, now we step, where my soldiers, right side, Commanders, where my soldiers, left side, now we step, where my soldiers, watch the middle, Commanders, where my soldiers,
Sartoba Media, where the struggle is real to be awesome.